All right, let's dive right into this explainer by talking about a situation that is just highly relatable. I mean, we all know someone, and hey, maybe it's even you, who constantly talks about completely changing their life. They've got these huge, sweeping plans to start a business, get super fit, or just totally reinvent themselves. They picture it so clearly. They might have even bought, one of those $40 aesthetic planners for it. They absolutely believe they're capable of pulling it off, and yet, months or literally years roll by, and they are sitting in the exact same spot. It's incredibly frustrating, right? Well, today we're going to dig into the fascinating psychology behind why we dream so big but end up doing absolutely nothing. And more importantly, we'll talk about how to actually fix it.
First off, I really want to validate your ambition here. Because when you or somebody you know is stuck in this endless cycle, the easy answer from the outside is always just, oh, they're lazy. But psychology, it tells us a completely different story. This inaction is not a character flaw. It's actually a series of deeply ingrained, hidden psychological barriers. Believe it or not, your own mind can secretly become the absolute biggest obstacle to your success. So today, we are going to dismantle those barriers, one by one. You see, your brain plays this wildly clever trick on you. Just imagining your success can actually give your brain a premature sense of achievement. When you sit around obsessing over your goals, your brain literally releases these little hits of satisfaction, almost exactly as if you've already put in the hard work. It feels like progress, sure, but it is 100% internal. And because you feel that satisfaction, your urgency to take real physical action just plummets. You end up permanently stuck in the planning phase, simply because planning feels so incredibly rewarding on its own. Okay, so here's our roadmap for the explainer today. Number 1, the addiction to potential. Number 2, hidden fears and mental traps. Number 3, the myth of motivation. Number 4, the reality of discomfort. And finally, number 5, psychological fixes for action.
Let's jump right into section 1, the addiction to potential.
Let's look at a surprisingly common trap we all tend to fall into. Just talking about your massive goals creates this intoxicating sense of possibility. It basically hands you the identity of a future success story without you having to break a sweat today. But why are we so attached to the idea of who we could be? Well, it's because the allure of potential is exciting. It's perfectly controlled, and it's purely mental. Now, compare that to the reality of progress. Actual progress is repetitive, it's agonizingly slow, and it is highly uncomfortable. That illusion of future perfection just feels vastly better than facing the hard, boring, and kind of flawed reality of what you actually have to do right now.
Moving along to section 2, hidden fears and mental traps.
So we really need to unpack what's happening behind the scenes here. These silent, internal roadblocks that are actively sabotaging your ambitions. And the tricky part is, these mental traps often disguise themselves as productivity. Look, you probably don't lack ambition, but your brain is just spinning its wheels. First, overthinking every tiny step and possible outcome completely drains your mental energy. By the time you actually need to do something, you're already exhausted. Second, a fear of failure keeps the dream perfectly safe. Think about it. If you never try, your dream stays absolutely flawless and your self-image is protected. And third, there's identity misalignment. If deep down you believe you aren't a disciplined person, your brain will fight your big dreams tooth and nail, because actually doing the work means becoming someone entirely different.
And then there's the silent trap of time. When you assume that tomorrow or next week or, next month is always going to be there, your brain completely strips away any feeling of urgency. Action just gets postponed endlessly without a single ounce of panic, all because the mind starts treating time like this infinite resource. Delay never really feels expensive when your ultimate deadline is just someday.
Which brings us to section 3, the myth of motivation.
Now we're tackling a massive misconception about when and exactly how to start working on a goal. It's a total myth, and it stops millions of people dead in their tracks. There's this grand illusion that you have to wait until you feel perfectly ready, mentally charged up, and super inspired before taking that first step. But relying on emotion like that creates a super dangerous cycle. It means your progress depends entirely on your daily mood. And let's be real, mood is incredibly unreliable. The reality? Readiness and motivation almost always show up after you start taking action, not before. If you're just sitting around waiting for that perfect spark of inspiration, honestly, that moment is never going to arrive.
Let's shift gears to section 4, the reality of discomfort. Because once you step out of your daydream and into the real world, things change fast. When we imagine being successful, we usually picture this tiny, maybe 5% slice of pure inspiration. But the actual day-to-day reality of effort, It's made up of confusion, a huge amount of boredom, rejection, and just painfully slow results. People quit all the time simply because this discomfort catches them off guard. They figure, hey, this feels frustrating, so I must be doing it wrong. They expected this movie montage level of inspiration, but got hit with a wall of irritation instead. Keeping the entire process in your head is a trap. Researching, planning, organizing, it all happens internally. Sure, it feels super active, but literally nothing physical is changing in the real world. The longer your goal stays locked in your brain, the more disconnected it gets from actual behavior. That's why forcing physical, external movement is absolutely mandatory if you want to break the spell.
Finally, let's bring it home with Section 5, Psychological Fixes for Action. All right, it is time to pivot from diagnosing the symptoms to the actual cure. Here are the evidence-based psychological fixes that are going to reboot your momentum and kick you out of the planning phase for good. The very first fix starts with clarity. Your brain literally cannot act on vague desires like, I want success or I want freedom. You have to immediately translate every abstract dream into one visible, measurable next step. Unclear goals give your body zero behavioral commands. You might feel super inspired, but your physical body literally has no clue what to actually do next. So here is your practical, no-nonsense action plan to break that cycle. Step 1. Set firm, personal deadlines that make delaying feel highly expensive. That destroys the whole unlimited time illusion. Step 2. Train yourself to act in neutral moods. Seriously, do not wait for excitement. Start the task when you feel absolutely nothing at all. And step 3, force a physical action toward your goal every single day. Even if it's ridiculously small, it drags that dream out of your head and into the physical world. And honestly, here's perhaps the most vital fix of the whole shebang. You have to change what you are optimizing for. Instead of only asking, how do I get success, you need to actively practice sitting with boring tasks way longer than feels natural. Dreams aren't built by desire alone, guys. They are built by the gritty, unglamorous ability to keep going when your progress is completely invisible and highly uncomfortable.
I want to leave you with this final, really powerful question to chew on today. What level of repetition, boredom, and uncertainty can you tolerate consistently? Because mastering your tolerance for discomfort, not your ability to vividly imagine some perfect future, is the true secret to turning your biggest dreams into reality. Get out of your head, take that one physical step today, and let's see what you can actually build. Thanks for joining me on This Explainer.